Hello, people. It's Louise, and I just wanted to do a clip for you lovely people out there and connect with you because I do enjoy it. I'm just not used to it, and I feel a bit self conscious, but I'm sure if I just keep on doing clips and some people get something out of it, I will get better. Don't know, try. So, I wrote this book a while ago, shameless plug, Live Your Dream, and it's on Amazon for 99p or 99 cents depending on your currency. So I haven't charged much for it, and I spent probably a couple of years reading up on Neville Goddard and deciding what the most important things would be for me in a handbook so that I could remember his wonderful teachings. Because I was aware that he was always saying that we forget things as human beings all the time. And he often refers to our vegetable human memories. And I've suddenly got a brain of lots of mushy vegetables, and I forget a lot. So I wanted to really do it for myself so that I could remember his teachings and put them into practice because I believed them and I still believe them. And then I thought, if it helps anybody else, that's great. Just put it out there. So 99p, quite cheap, isn't it? And I did another one called, I've done a few actually, Imagining Creates Reality. That was much more successful than Live Your Dream. And actually, Imagining Creates Reality, can't even remember the title, is just the middle chapter of this book. So it's quicker to read, and it's just the practical details of how to imagine, how to manifest. So that's my plug there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a few clips on different parts of the book and see what you think, because it'd be nice to have your feedback. Chapter 1 is just called God, because that's the foundation of, he is the foundation of the power within you to manifest your desires into the world, because God lives within each one of us. And Neville Goddard said that God, amongst other things, was the human, the divine imagination, the imagination. So God in action is the imagination. So, and he often, well, he gave lots of quotes in the Bible where the imagination could be exchanged for God, and it makes perfect sense. I'm just going to find one of those now, because I wasn't expecting to do that. Okay, here we go. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So him can be replaced with the imagination. All things are made through the imagination. The mystery hid from the ages, Christ in you, the hope of glory. The mystery. That's not so obvious, but I put that in anyway. He was in the world, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. The imagination. These are from John, the Gospel of John. I am Ecclesiastes 3:15. I am the beginning and the end. There is nothing to come that has not been and is. Everything's already created, and all we have to do is live in the feeling and live in the end, as Neville Goddard said, and we can bring it into existence out of the invisible. But I'll talk about that another time, because that's a bit much now. So the next one I do is going to be about God, the foundation that you've got to build on before you can truly manifest fluently, I suppose. But right now, I would just like to read something that I wrote right at the beginning, which I think is important. I think it is. And it's called The Outer World and Dreams. So I just made some connections here between the dream world and our objective reality world. Anyway, I'm just going to read it, see what you think. When you are dreaming, you believe your environment to be completely natural and solidly real. Yes, you do. Indeed, all the senses can be activated in the dream world despite your body lying unconscious in bed. And I think that that's quite interesting, that you're seeing, you're hearing, you're touching, everything is like how it is here. Well, not totally, but you are completely in that reality and you don't realize that you're actually lying in bed in that moment. Anyway, sorry, I digress. Where was I up to? It is only when you awake that you may recognize events in the dream to have been somewhat unusual in content, although at the time you accepted these as completely normal. What I was just saying, really. When dreaming, we are in a different state, but it is no less real than the one we inhabit during waking hours. A controversial point there, because many people just see dreaming as a way to, I don't know how they see it really, but it's like a mishmash of memories and experiences and your brain sorting through them at night in a very scientific and logical way, something like that. Trying to make sense of things. Maybe it is that, I don't know. If we confine reality to what we experience through the senses, we create limitations by dividing the world and ourselves into two separate things. Separation implies that the world generally lies outside our control, and to attain things requires mental effort and physical exertion. That's how most people see life, I think. Life is an uphill battle when lived in this way, but it does not have to be like this. This is how we've been brought up. It's us, and it's our environment and others, and yeah, it's us against them. It's a very fragile place, dangerous place. We are having to fight for everything, toil and struggle and everything. But imagine if it was really the imagination that created all things. And many of you will be thinking, yeah, I know that, I believe that, I follow Neville Goddard. So, but how many of us believe it on an intellectual level, but do we actually live it day in, day out? And even when we do live it, we forget sometimes because we're human beings. So it's good to remind yourself, and that's why I wrote this book. So if you find it useful, buy it, tell me. Anyway, let's see, where was I up to? I shouldn't just keep talking because I lose my place. We perceive separation through seeing each other as bodies, but that is not all we are. Besides being individuals, we are also interconnected as one consciousness. But then, how is the illusion of separation created? Neville Goddard described a divine imagination that created all of nature and all of the universe. Our individualized imaginations could be said to be plugged into this source, which is God, and create our own smaller worlds and interact with the imaginations of others. We can start by asking ourselves, is there anything that appears in our world that we have not first imagined? Anything that did not first originate in our mind and yet appears to have a physical starting point outside ourselves? So just starting to notice when you've thought, oh, I'd quite like that, quite like to do that. And then suddenly it just happens and you think, well, that's a coincidence, isn't it? Just start to notice that, because we're actually forgetting a lot of things that do manifest in our world. So by noticing these so-called coincidences, we're building faith in the process. And the smaller things are as important as the bigger things. It needs to become fluent, really. Okay, now I've lost it again. This may be difficult to recall, as the speed with which we forget things can be quite astounding. And there is the added problem that we can't even remember how much we've actually forgotten. That occurred to me because I thought we wouldn't even know what we've forgotten, would we? Because we've forgotten it. So it just sounds like there's no hope for us, really, but there is hope. If you read the handbook, there is hope. Nevertheless, by bringing to the surface mind memories of occasions where we first imagined what we wanted before it appeared, we start to build awareness of the connection between the thing imagined and its visible appearance in the world. Could it be that it is the first thought of something, and this alone, that starts things in motion, and all action arising from this is dependent on the thought rather than the actual effort to object of our desire, rather than the actual effort to object. I didn't think I made any mistakes in here. Oh well. I've put rather than the actual effort to object of our desire. To objectify our desire. Don't know. This is not to deny the reality of the outer objective world, but to understand that imagination is the force by which the sensuous outer world is made manifest. The outer world is a projection of the inner world of imagination. On that note, let's depart from perceived reality and head for the world of the imagination. So, what do you think of that then? Sorry for getting off track. But, yeah, don't really know what I wrote there. So, what is reality? What is reality? Is it this? Is it this, or is it... And it's not even in there, I don't think. That's weird, isn't it? Because you just think, oh, or if you believe in God, God is within me. Yeah, but is it just that we are within God? Like, God is within. Yeah, it feels like that. But if he's the source and he's projecting us onto the screen of space, we're in him, and he's in us. Both? I don't know. Blows my mind. But I think we do really have to contemplate God, contemplate the idea of God, and realize that there is this being, this force, a very mysterious force that we can never completely understand, but which through which we manifest our whatever's in our imagination, really. We can do, and he is the creator. And pardon me for saying he if people don't like that, but I just go with the easiest thing, and I think of him as a father as well. So yeah, he is the creator, and if we're plugged into him, we're mini creators, and he wants us to create. So we should be creating. And all we need to do is rest in him and believe that we have what we're imagining. Simple, so simple. So why can't we do it? I don't know. Anyway, I've gone well over, as always. So I hope you got something from that. Please let me know if I've rambled on a bit too much, and if there was anything that struck you, what I should do in future instead of talking too much. The problem is I had a little bit of this, and so it does make me go a bit off track. I've only had a few sips, but it doesn't take much for me. So yeah, so I hope that's okay, and cheers. See you soon. Bye.